My name is Ryan Cole. I'm 33 years old, originally from Minnesota, but I've lived in Los Angeles for the past 7 years. I'm the kind of guy people might call steady. A reliable face in the office, the one who never misses a deadline, who always holds the elevator, who eats lunch alone but never seems lonely. But there's something no one knows about me. Not my colleagues, not my friends, not even my therapist. This is the story I've never told anyone. Call it, she said, I know you came here for my daughter, but she's not home. It started last July. Summer in LA is a strange beast. Too hot, too bright, like it's trying too hard to be a movie. That afternoon, I'd driven across town to Pasadena. I was supposed to meet Camille, a woman I'd been seeing quietly for a couple months. Office romance. We'd both agreed to keep things discreet. She was new in our marketing department, about 4 years younger, sharp, with that calm, confident kind of beauty that makes everyone else in the room seem like they're trying too hard. She'd invited me over to her place, a charming white Spanish-style home on a tree-lined street. Said it was her mother's house, that she was staying there while her apartment got fumigated. I didn't ask many questions. I was just glad she wanted me there. I pulled up, rang the bell, heart pacing like it always did around her. After a moment, the door opened, not to Camille, but to a woman in her late 40s or early 50s. Elegant, the kind of presence that feels intentional. She wore a pale blue silk blouse, no shoes, and her black hair was twisted up like she'd done it without a mirror. She studied me quietly for a moment. Her lips parted slightly, as if she was going to ask something else. Then she said, I know you came here for my daughter, but she's not home. It hit me oddly. Something about the way she said it, unapologetic but heavy, like there was a second sentence she'd decided not to say. Oh, I managed, awkward. I guess I can wait? She said she'd be home around 3. She tilted her head, then stepped aside. You might as well come in. The house was cool and filled with shadow. Old wood floors, antique furniture, gauzy curtains that let in just enough light to cast soft lines across the living room. Everything smelled faintly like gardenia and something older, books maybe. Would you like something to drink? She asked as I perched on the edge of the couch. Lemon water? Wine? Water's fine, thank you. She disappeared into the kitchen. I glanced at a nearby picture frame. Camille, maybe high school age, beside the woman now pouring water into a cut glass. There was something eerie about how much they resembled each other, like reflections across time. When she returned, she handed me the glass and sat across from me in the armchair. No TV, just that quiet hum of an old house and a stranger watching me a little too carefully. She doesn't usually bring people here, the woman said, eyes never leaving mine. I guess I'm lucky then? I tried to smile. It landed wrong. You know how they met her father? She asked suddenly. I shook my head. She was 20. I was 19. He walked into the bookstore where I worked and asked if I believed in fate. I told him I didn't, but I married him anyway. There was something off about the way she said it, as if the memory held splinters. I'm sorry, I said, because it felt like I should. She waved it away. Don't be. She takes after him, you know. Camille. Bright, romantic, secretive. Always keeping parts of herself tucked away, even from me. I wanted to ask if Camille was okay, if this was some sort of prelude to a conversation I didn't want to have. But something kept me frozen. That feeling you get when a dog you don't know is watching you from the other side of the street. Not growling, just waiting. She told me about you, the woman said next. Not much, just that there was a man at work who made her feel exposed. That caught me. Exposed. She meant it as a compliment, she added quickly, that you saw things in her that others didn't. I took a sip of the lemon water. My throat was dry, heart tapping faster. Where is she now? She didn't say, just that she had something to take care of. Something she didn't want you to see. I started to rise. Maybe I should come back another time. No, she said softly. Wait. She stood, crossed the room, opened a drawer in a side table, and pulled out a small envelope. She walked back over and held it out to me. She left this for you. Said if you came, I should give it to you myself. The envelope was cream-colored. My name was handwritten on it in Camille's curling script. Inside was a single photo. It was Camille, but not recent. Not at all. She looked younger, her hair shorter, eyes different. And standing beside her, arm around her shoulders, was me. But I had no memory of that day. None. My fingers tightened around the photo. What is this? I asked, almost whispering. The woman, Camille's mother, met my gaze. That's what I've been wondering too. I stared at the photo like it might shift if I looked hard enough. Like some hidden detail might suddenly rearrange itself and make the whole thing make sense. But it didn't. It just sat in my hand, heavy with questions. In the photo, I looked younger, maybe 25. The shirt I wore was vaguely familiar, something I donated years ago. Camille looked about the same age, but softer. There was a closeness between us in the photo, like a shared secret. But my mind was blank. I don't understand, I said, my voice catching. This never happened. I never took this photo with her. The woman's expression didn't change. She studied me for a long moment, then said something that chilled me more than the picture ever could. Are you sure? 100 thoughts splintered through my mind at once. Was this some elaborate prank? A mistake? An old image doctored to play tricks on me? But it didn't feel like that. It felt deeply personal, too precise, too cruel to be random. You think I've met her before? I asked, trying to stay calm. Before the office? That I forgot her. She remembered you, the woman replied quietly. That's what matters. I stood, adrenaline kicking in. I need to talk to her. She won't answer. Not yet. She stepped closer. But I think I can help you remember. Remember what? She walked past me, down the hallway, motioning for me to follow. My feet moved on instinct. The hallway smelled like cedar and lavender. Photographs lined the walls, snapshots of a family's life, blurred in motion, lit by candles and Christmas trees. But no more pictures of me, just that one. She led me into a small study. A lamp glowed on the desk beside a thick leather-bound journal. She opened it and turned it toward me. The first page was dated 5 years ago. I froze. It was in my handwriting. I flipped the pages, entry after entry. My words, my rhythm, my messy, crooked lowercase r's. But I had never seen this notebook before. Where did you get this? I demanded. She gave it to me, she said, folding her arms. 2 years ago, told me you wouldn't remember writing it, that the memories had been compartmentalized. I dropped into the chair. I scanned the entries, panic rising. They were journal entries, yes, but not like the ones I kept now. These were different, disoriented, rambling, obsessive. One line jumped out. Camille thinks we're being followed. She's afraid her mother will find us. I'm not sure she's wrong. Then another. We disappeared to start over. But I can feel something fraying inside me. She wakes up crying and says she's not the girl I fell in love with. I say, you never were. I stared at the words until they blurred. I don't understand, I said, voice shaking. This isn't real. This can't be real. I would remember this. I would remember her. She didn't answer right away. When she did, it was with devastating softness. You had a breakdown, a real one, a psychotic split. The doctors called it dissociative amnesia. Camille was part of your life 5 years ago, deeply. You ran away together. You were lost. And when she brought you back, you erased her. I looked up at her, throat tightening. Then why is she seeing me again? Why come back? Because she never stopped loving you, she said, her eyes wet now. Even when it cost her everything. Silence pressed around us like fog. I turned back to the journal, flipped to the last entry. I could barely breathe. It said, tomorrow I'm taking him back, to the world he left. I know he won't remember me, but maybe, if fate is real, he'll find his way back on his own. And if he does, I want to be brave enough to love him all over again. Suddenly, the front door opened. Footsteps, lighter, faster. Then a pause. The woman smiled faintly. She's home. My heartbeat roared in my ears. I stood slowly and turned. And there she was, Camille. Not exactly the way I remembered her in the office. She looked rawer now, realer, like a painting in motion. Her eyes met mine, and I saw it all: love, pain, terror, and something infinite. I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing came. She walked toward me, then stopped. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Do you remember me? Do you remember me?" Camille's voice trembled like a string pulled too tight. I wanted to say yes. God, I wanted to say yes, but the truth sat in my throat like a stone. I don't know, I whispered. Her eyes searched mine, waiting for something to click, something to light up behind my gaze. When it didn't, her breath caught, and for a moment, she looked like she might shatter. "I didn't mean to come back into your life," she said softly. "Not like this. Not again." I stepped closer, unsure of my body, my memories, even the ground beneath me. But the smell of her, bergamot and rain, reached into something I couldn't name, place behind thought. "Why did you?" I asked. She gave a sad smile. "Because you did." I blinked. She looked down at her hands, twisting the hem of her sleeve like she was afraid to say too much. "You started watching me again. In the office. Same as before. Same curious eyes. Same awkward pauses. The same stupid joke about the vending machine stealing your dollar." A laugh escaped me. A small, surprised sound. I didn't remember saying it, but it felt right, like muscle memory. "That was your favorite," she said, her voice catching. "And when you said it last month, I knew." "Knew what?" "That somewhere inside you, I still existed." Silence fell between us. I could feel her mother watching from the hallway, but neither of us moved to break it. "I read the journal," I finally said. "I saw what I wrote, what we went through." Her expression changed, both fearful and hopeful. "Did it feel real?" I nodded slowly. "It felt like a dream I once had, one that meant something." She exhaled sharply, nodding to herself like that was all she needed to hear. "I don't know if I'll ever fully remember," I said, "but I want to." A tear rolled down her cheek, and she reached out, almost cautiously, until her fingers touched mine. Just that, one fingertip resting against another. A tether. "I want that too," she whispered. The house seemed to exhale with us. She pulled me into a hug. Not passionate, not hungry, just quiet and deep, like something returning home. Later, we sat on the back porch, watching the light fade through the trees. Her mother brought out tea but didn't speak. I think she knew words couldn't help anymore. Camille told me stories, little ones, inside jokes from that other life. The way I used to make pancakes with too much cinnamon. The night we got lost in Arizona and slept under the stars on the hood of my car. The first time she said she loved me, and how I panicked and kissed her just to shut her up. Each story felt like a note of a song I almost remembered, like the melody was still hiding, but the rhythm had returned. We didn't decide anything that night. No declarations, no plans. But as she leaned her head on my shoulder and closed her eyes, I realized something that settled deep inside me. Sometimes love is not about memory. It's about presence. About choosing someone, even when the past is blurry and the future uncertain. And maybe, just maybe, love isn't what stays. Maybe it's what returns. We live our lives believing memories are everything, that they define us, tether us, make our love real. But sometimes the most powerful love stories are the ones we can't explain. The ones that slip between the cracks of what we remember and what we feel. Because love isn't just in photographs or journals or dates circled on a calendar. Love is in the pull, the feeling you get when someone looks at you like you've known them forever, even if you can't say how. So if someone finds you in the dark, holds your hand, and tells you they still see the parts of you that you forgot, hold on. That's not just love. That's home.